Today we're going to be taking a look at what I think is the coolest watch release of 2025, and you've already seen the thumbnail, so you got some idea of what we're getting into. This is unlike anything else that has come out that I've seen, and it's not much of a surprise that it's coming from Vario. Vario is a brand that draws inspiration from different eras in watch design, and in this watch they're taking a look at the 1970s, but sort of a futuristic vision from the 1970s. This is the aptly titled Futurist from Vario. Take a quick look and then we'll get into it. Hey guys, this is Dave. Welcome back to my channel, Just the Watch. As always, I'm recording from my home in Iwate, Japan. 2025 is just about over, but for the last review of the year, we're taking a look at the Vario Futurist. And this is a watch that's unique on so many levels. The most eye-catching is the glass. This is a faceted sapphire crystal that's covering the dial of this watch. But the case design is also unique as well, featuring an engraved surface across the top. And they've also decided to put the crown at 12 o'clock, giving the entire case a very sleek, symmetrical look. And it's not just the fact that they've decided to go with these very bold design choices, it's the fact that they've managed to incorporate them in a very consistent and cohesive way to present a watch that is very cool and very refined. So I'm excited to really jump in and show you guys the details on this watch. Now, this watch was sent in by Vario for free, which is why you saw the paid promotions flag at the beginning of this video. However, they didn't have any control over the content of the review. All right, let's check it out. Let's take a quick look at the specifications and dimensions on this watch. Inside is the Miyota 9039 Premium Japanese Automatic Movement. This is the no-date version of the Miyota 9015. Which, if you compare it to Miyota's 8000 series of movements and to the Seiko NH series of movements, it features a higher accuracy, a smoother sweeping second hand, and importantly, a thinner construction. And this allows the watch to have an overall thickness of only 11 millimeters, and that includes that crazy faceted sapphire crystal. And you're getting this slimness while also maintaining a very high 100 meters of water resistance. So as crazy as that sounds, this is essentially a sports watch that is fully capable of any water sports activities. If you want to take it to the beach or even go snorkeling, go right ahead. And along with that, the watch features fantastic lume, which is great to see because this has always been one area that Vario has really not prioritized in the past. Almost all of their watches that I've looked at just don't have very great long-lasting after-dark performance. But this one does, with a great application of BGW9, giving it a bright, cool blue glow in the dark. Now, given the design of the watch, the lume is restricted to thin strips on the hands and the markers. But for a cool added touch, they've also included little green dots above each of the batons, which not only looks really cool, but also does help a touch with legibility, with the double dots at 12 helping you to orient the watch in the dark. Jumping out to the case, it is 39 millimeters across, and that's the entire width of the watch because there is no crown on the side of this case. This gives the watch a much more sleek and symmetrical look than you would find on a watch with a traditional hand position. But the downside is that the crown is a lot more difficult to access at 12 o'clock. So if this watch is going to be an occasional wear and not a daily wear where you're going to have to set the time every time you put it on, you might find that a tad annoying. But I think it fits so well into the design here that it really was the right choice. You're also getting 20 millimeter standard lug openings, which will allow for a wide variety of strap options. And I think you're going to have some interesting choices with a watch like this. Vario gives you a couple of options, the standard one being this black vegetable tanned Italian leather. And like all the straps that Vario offers, this is an incredibly high quality strap. Vario is not just a microbrand watch manufacturer. They actually started out, I think, with straps. So the straps that they do are all amazing and really cool. And I think this simple padded black leather strap really complements the more intricate and interesting design, allowing the watch itself to take center stage. But if you did want to really lean into that 1970s retro futuristic look, Vario offers a high quality, totally retro looking elastic metal strap. And I think that really leans into the sci-fi themes that this watch is playing off of. It's yet another unusual touch that you don't ordinarily see on watches these days. It is surprisingly comfortable for a metal bracelet, other than the fact that it does occasionally tug at the hairs on my arm. And due to the elastic nature of the band, it also doesn't feel that secure, with it sometimes flipping around on my wrist more than I would expect. But that's just the nature of these types of bands. I'm also really impressed that Vario is able to offer this at only $32. That seems very reasonable for a metal bracelet that is this unique and this high of quality. Next, I want to start looking more closely at these unique aspects of the watch, but before we look at the details, let's just take a step back and appreciate how this watch looks as a complete package. I know it's hard not to notice that faceted crystal, but once you start examining other aspects of the watch, you really see how that 12 o'clock crown completely changes the symmetry. And the case has such a unique shape and finish to it. The top part of it has this sort of wide, flat area that serves as a frame to the dial of the watch, almost giving it a barrel-like shape. But that flat area framing the dial has been finished with a deep engraving that radiates from the dial. This is not a brushed finish or even an etched finish. It's much deeper than that. Each of those little lines represent a cut into the surface of the metal that creates a beautiful pattern that really plays with the light in a wonderful way. And the same can be said for the polished bevels and facets of the case as well. This is an incredibly cool and unique case design, and I think Vario really outdid themselves here. You get these sleek bow-like curves around either side, but then at the lugs there are these angular cuts that really tie together the angles on the faceted sapphire crystal. And that faceted crystal is the boldest design choice that Vario has made here. I'm not aware of any other brands in recent years that have done this. It is a nod to vintage watches that have incorporated faceted crystals in the past, but those have largely gone by the wayside. So it's really fun to see Vario revive this look and pair it up with a high-quality sapphire crystal that features anti-reflective coating along the underside. Tying into the retro futuristic science fiction-like themes of this watch, those facets are meant to represent the panels on a spaceship window. And it makes the watch so interesting and fun to look at from many different angles, where sometimes it almost creates a prism-like effect, and at other times you get an almost undistorted view of the dial. This does come at the cost of some legibility. It is a bit distracting to see those facets, but all things considered, legibility is not that bad, and I generally didn't find it much of a struggle to tell the time. The dial is also gorgeous with a beautiful sunburst effect that also features a gradient going from light to dark. I have the gray dial version, which I think is the most elegant and restrained of the options that they have here. But if you prefer a bolder color, they have a bright red, green, or blue also currently available with some new colors coming out on the horizon. They will also be adding a jet black, orange, and purple dial, giving you a pretty wide choice of very vibrant colors. All of the dials feature segmented hour indexes with a bright strip of lume going down the center of them. These extend into the chapter rings surrounding the dial, which houses the minute markings, and they feature a matching baton or paddle style handset with a blocky rectangular design. Taken all together, you get yet another brilliant retro design from Vario that perfectly encapsulates this 1970s time period. This looks like exactly the kind of watch you would see on the wrist from a character from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And the astronaut engraved on the case back really ties it into these 1970s science fiction masterpieces that it kind of fits into. This is a really rare watch in that the design and the components are really crazy when you think about each one individually, and it has this very strong nostalgic retro look about it, and yet somehow it still manages to look sleek, cool, and even in some ways understated. Somehow, despite all of the really unusual design choices Vario has made, they've still managed to somehow produce a watch that feels effortlessly wearable in the modern era. This is my new favorite watch from Vario, and again, I think it is the coolest and one of the most impressive microbrand releases of 2025. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Hope you guys all had a great 2025, and I'm looking forward to continuing this channel in 2026. Looking forward to continuing to talking with you guys in the comments, and I hope you all have a great year going forward. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next year. Bye.